Yo, what's up, guys? It's your boy Tenyo Scene One, and been some time, and just like always, it's been some time, and finally my mock exams are finishing on 16th of March, so we'll be back soon. But anyways, so I've got this short tutorial for you guys. I think I should upload short tutorials so I can upload more frequently, perhaps. But yeah, so this time around before I get started, before we talk about it, just go here, okay, and like just one more subscriber, okay? If I can only subscribe to myself, like just one more, right? We'll reach 2K, man. We'll do it, man. Okay, together as a. I need some sort of a name for our team, I can't call ourselves Tenya Sinwan Bros. Can I?
And this day, a new meme was born. The deadly 10 Yosin 1 Bros.
But yeah, and also if you can, if you want to get to contact me, or if you want help regarding anything, you can just go ahead on my page and just follow me, like it, or just message me. And oh wait, I still have one message to read. I'm gonna read that in a while, right? So, anyways, so yeah, so let's talk about what we're gonna cover in this one. We're gonna cover quite, just a couple things, really. So just we're gonna cover damaging and destroying objects. So basically, how we can, say we have a damage variable in our weapon, and we can send a damage to those objects, and then we can actually destroy them or spawn some other object, as a replacement for them, whenever they have 0 health or something like that. Okay, so this could work. You can use this for enemies, you can use this for different objects, like for example simple boxes or anything. And there's crosshair is just like a static UI element in the middle of the screen. We're not gonna make an advanced crosshair, like something which goes which scales up and down, just a very basic one. And these are the things I've planned, so aiming down sights and stuff. And something which I really want to talk about is the coding standards and minor code cleanup. So basically, how we can keep our code really clean, easy to read, how we can document it, so it's easier for us to remember as well. And so someone who doesn't have any knowledge of coding can just jump right into the code and possibly understand it right away just by reading the comments and all. And not only that, but how we can name our comments, our functions, our variables and functions, and stuff like that. And yeah, a lot of people are asking on the AI, and I'm not sure how I can make a better AI. I just know how to make a basic AI which can follow you around and see you and hear you and shoot you when you're like in sight, and maybe can like tell all the other enemies around him that yes, he's seen the enemy, and he can just everyone can be aware that we're here, we're the map or something like that. So yeah, we're gonna cover all that stuff, but in this one, just damage and destroying objects. So without any further ado, let's get started. Okay, so here we are in Unity. I hope this is not a rush tutorial. I gotta fit in the memes as well, so anyways, we have our basic weapon set up, and we still have yet to cover, aimed outside, so I think this is not really the best way to go with it. It's not a proper sequence, but yeah, anyways. So, in order to basically destroy objects, what we need to do is, first of all, I think we should create a script which sends a message. Okay, actually, we need to create a script which receives a damage. So, like, here's how it works. The weapon, you can say, if you go to the weapon itself, which is this, it will have another variable called damage, once we're done with it. So whenever we shoot, wherever the raycast hits, it checks if that specific object has a specific script, which we can call, for example, I don't know, some sort of a held controller or something. And if it does, then we're gonna, have a function, something like this, something like an update, but like, a custom function like fire or something, but we're gonna call that function apply damage, for example, or get hit or anything like that. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna say, okay, whenever we shoot that object, it's gonna check if it has that script, and it's gonna play that function. That function is gonna, reduce the health of this object. And once the health reaches 0, we're gonna simply destroy this object. That's it. Okay, basic stuff, nothing too much. So let's jump right into it. So like I'm gonna go to let's go to the scripts folder, and I don't know which folder should I put this in. So I'm gonna just create. Right click here, create C# script. And we're gonna call this held controller. Not the best name to call it, honestly, but for this one, for objects especially. So let's jump right into it. So double click. There we are. Okay, so we have a held controller script. Now we need to make a certain variable. So for example, we need to make declare. Okay, I'm gonna just change the code so I like this way. It feels more cleaner, So we're gonna create a couple variables. So I'm gonna introduce one new thing, which is called something like private variables. So only use private variables. Don't use public variables. If you're confused, then well, if you use private variables, you will not see them in the editor. Don't be worried about that. We're gonna fix that as well. So for example, I have private float. So we just want to float, okay, for the health, and I'm gonna call this health. So we have a health float, right? And in order to make it, like if I save and I go back to the editor, okay, and I click on this object, for example, just drag the health controller script onto the inspector view, and I have the health there. So you see, I don't see the health anywhere because it's a private, okay? And in order to make it so it's editable, you can see it in the editor while it's still private. Private basically means other scripts can't see this. It's good for like being a security feature as well, in case you don't want any other script to change the health directly. Okay, so you can just make it a private. So we can say serialize field. All right, sorry, like that. Oh my god. Serialize. Yes. Okay. Thank you. So serialize field, and what this does is basically just makes it so you can edit it in the editor as well. So you can see it there and can change it as well. So if I compile now and save now, and you see it's there, it's held. Let's give it a default value of 100. Okay. So yeah, if you had reset the script, you'll have that value. Okay. So basically, we don't need any start or update function in our case. We just need a really basic function, and we need to make sure it's a public. So public void, so we can access this function, play this function from any other script, and we're gonna call this apply damage. And this function, this is a new thing I believe we're doing, is that you can actually have you can actually send variables or parameters to a specific function. So basically, we're gonna create a function which takes in a parameter. It requires a parameter, and that parameter is gonna be the damage which we're gonna we're gonna apply to this particular object. So in this function, in between the brackets, we're gonna say, okay, float damage. So it requires a variable which is the type float, and that is called damage. We are creating basically a new variable which is only available in this particular function. And you need to send a variable to this function, otherwise you cannot call this function, basically. This is like a required value, required parameter. And then we can just open curly brace and close curly brace. There we go. So now we have a basic function which says, okay, so it doesn't really does anything as of the moment, but we just have a new function which requires a parameter. That's it, pretty much. Requires a value. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go to our weapon, and it's starting to look kind of complex here. So don't worry about it, really. We probably should move some things, like for example, we probably could move all the particle and bullet hole instantiation part in another function to keep it clean, but yeah, for the time being, let's keep it like this. So what we're going to do is we're going to go down, and we're going to say, okay, so before doing that, let's create a new variable. And I'm not gonna make any serialized fields here. I'm gonna keep it the way it is in the coding cleanup stuff part. We're gonna basically change the variable names and all that kind of stuff. But for the time, let's keep it as it is. And let's create a new variable somewhere around here. Let's say public float damage equals 20. So we have a variable called damage, and whenever we're gonna hit something, we're gonna reduce or deduct like 20 points from that particular object. Let's scroll down and back to our fire function. Okay, so whenever we shoot, we're gonna say, okay, so we're gonna actually use the information, the hit information, and based on that, we're gonna say, okay, so the object which we hit it, does it have a held controller script? If it does, then we're gonna access that script and we're gonna play this function from that particular script. Okay, so we're connecting two scripts together. All right, for example, like that. So we're gonna say, okay, if the hit object, so hit dot transform, the hit object, the transform, okay, it's just two axes. We can't directly say hit dot get component, so we need to say transform dot get component. So if the object which we hit it, you know, and we see if it has the component held controller, bracket open, bracket close, okay, and if that's the case, then I'm just gonna open this up again, right? Then basically we're gonna say, okay, then access that object. So hit.transform.getComponent. Now we're accessing it. First we were checking it in the if statement, okay? And simply play the apply damage function. And now this won't be it, okay? So this is how you play functions, and this is how I'm actually accessing a function, and this is how you play function. Like for example, we're saying do reload function just to add like do reload and then bracket open, bracket close, just the name of the function and bracket open and close. But in this case, it's throwing an error. It's giving me this red underline saying, okay, if I mouse over, put my mouse over, it says there is no argument given that corresponds to the required formal parameter damage. Basically, what this means is that this function requires a float variable, okay, which will be used in the place of damage of the damage variable, okay. So we need to send a value which in order to fill this one part, so we're done it to there. And to do that, we can simply say we can access the variable here. So we can access this, we can send this variable, the damage variable. So we can simply write damage. Now take note, this damage and this damage, they're two different things, okay? So we're sending this value, the damage from this script, the weapon script, which is like 20. And if you go into this, script basically and try to access this function, this value will be equal to 20. So okay, so because we're sending a 20 value, all right, and so let's kind of scroll down and let's see what we have here. Save that, and let's save that as well. So in order to pretty much see if it's working or not, we can say debug.log we got, or like, I don't know, you got hit, and we can say plus or damage, or we can simply just write damage instead of all this thing. But basically this means that we're printing whatever damage received. Okay, so each time we get hit, we're gonna say, in the console, we're gonna say we got hit, and the damage is the damage which we just received. So if we go back to here, we go back here. Let's see. Let's actually, we don't really have to make that 100 or something. Let's make it 100. If I pretty much click on, like, for example, reset there, it should be 100. There you go. Okay. So if I try playing now, okay, there we go. And if I go open up my console window and I shoot, you see it says we got hit, damage 20, and you see it has thrown that one time. I'll say that again, 2 times. 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, okay? So it basically is receiving damage, but the health is not changing. Now we actually need to deduct the damage value from the health value. So we can just remove the debug.log here, and we can say, okay, health minus equals damage, okay? So we're reducing, we're basically, subtracting damage from the health variable. That's it. And in order to like make it more complete, what we can do is we can say, okay, so we're reducing the health, but we also want to destroy the object completely whenever we don't have any health. Then we can say, okay, if health is less than or equals to 0, Okay, so if our health value is less than or equals to 0, then simply say, all right, well then destroy the object. What are you waiting for? So destroy game object. Simple, okay? So our health has reached 0, or it goes... Now we also, you know, for the sake of, what you can say, if you want to make sure that the health does not goes below 0 or something, then you can add certain things, like, okay, if health is less than equals to 0, health equals to 0, okay, and just destroy the object. But because we're destroying the object in this case, okay, we're not saying anything else, and we don't need to check for this call. Okay, let's go back and let's see. And let's see. So like, notice the health variable now. See how it moves whenever I shoot it. 80. Okay, see that? Just reduce to 80. Okay. 60, 40, 20. Bang, it's gone. And now this is one thing, which I discovered recently. And this is pretty basic, you know. You see those decals, they were just like in the air and all. So for the sake of that, what we can do, I think we are gonna actually do that in later video, where we do some, you know, minor fixes as well, because most people might skip this video. So so for that one's really basic. We can basically say, okay, so we instantiated this particle, and we can say hit particle effect dot parent, or dot set parent, I think. No, not transform dot set parent. And we can say hit dot transform. So what we're doing is we're parenting this object, which we just spawned, the particle effect, and we can also do the same for the bullet hole. And we're parenting it to the object which we just hit it, okay? So this is just a small fix, if in case you want to just do it without, you know, without worrying about anything else. So let's take that out. Okay, so everything is cool and all. Now what we want to do is, now we can add it to any script. We can add the health controller to any script, and it will work right out of the box. If you want to change the damage, you can just go to the weapon, and you just have this damage variable. You can just change it however you want. Okay, you can even make it like this if you want to add the health instead, I suppose. So yeah, anyways, so what we can do now is we can create a basic crosshair. So crosshair, you know, we're not really, you know, setting up basic UI elements are pretty easy, especially, you know, since the Unity 4.6, I believe, which has this really amazing UI system and all, even though we're using Unity 5.5. So yeah, so let's for the basic crosshair, it's just going to be a really simple circle, white circle in the center of the screen. So just right click on in our hierarchy, and just okay, go to UI, and we're going to create an image. Okay, so it just gives you this weird image, and if I click on this image and I go and I press F, okay, it just takes me to that image. Okay, so I can zoom out by holding Alt and right click, you know, just the basic stuff. All right, and basically we have this huge image, and it's like in this corner of the screen. So what I can do is I can, like, now you see I have a movement, what you can say, controller thingy, right? And I have a rotation controller and a scale controller. I also have another controller which is actually used for UI. Okay, the very last one. So I can click on it, or I can pretty much press R. No, actually T for this one. Okay, and move it in the center of the screen. There we go. Now what we're gonna do, we're gonna go to the image, and it says none sprite. So we're gonna add a new sprite to it, so it's circular. And I do believe Unity has this built-in a knob sprite, as you can see. There it is, and it says Unity built-in extra, and there we have it. Okay, just a basic sprite. Now it's really huge and all. And in order to really make it small, I do believe you can hold Shift and Alt. Actually, click on this and then hold Shift and Alt, and you can do that. Or just to keep, you know, keep things really simple. Excuse me. What you can do is you can go and you can change the width to 4, height to 4, and if you go back, you have this really small circular thingy. You can even make it 5 if you think 4 is too small. And honestly, I think 4 is fine, but yeah. And that's it. That's pretty much it. Nothing special really, you know. And whenever you just now have a nice little, you know, cursor in the center of the screen, and just shoots it there at that particular point always. You know, unless if you're moving your weapon really fast, you wouldn't know what's happening. But yeah. And also, I'm planning on actually doing some, you know, basic. It actually looks good. I don't know, for some reason, just adding a basic crosshair in the screen just changes the experience for some reason. I mean, it's probably just me, but I really like it, you know. Even though it's nothing really special, you know. But yeah. anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Gotta fill it up with some memes, so that's gonna take some time to pretty much, you know, make it and all. But yeah, hopefully not. But yeah, yeah, it's some really basic coding, you know. We're gonna move all this stuff to new function, so it's more readable, so you can understand. Okay, this part is doing that, without actually reading the entire code and saying, oh, what is this doing? Okay, so keeping things simple and keeping things more readable and everything, and introducing some coding standards, naming conventions, blah blah blah, you know, stuff like that. Really cool stuff, you know. If might sound boring to some people, but honestly, I love it. I love the naming convention, and it's just, you know, just something which you pick on later on. You're like, oh my god, I'm gonna name my variable like this always. I'm gonna make it like this, okay? And I also I'm also working on with Photon and stuff, you know, lately. And I actually have made a basic game where you can shoot and you can just receive damage and destroy each other. And I'm adding basic scoring system and everything, and maybe team system as well. But the thing is, okay, I'll probably upload that as well. I have it on my Dropbox, and I'll probably share the link with you guys or anything. And I'm gonna make a Discord server as well, so you guys can just join up and you can share your memes, you can share your ideas, you can, you know, get direct help from me or something, or you know, maybe team up there, or maybe team up with me in case you want to do that. But yeah, anyways, guys, amazing having you guys. Oh my god, I'm being so formal today. What is wrong with me? Okay, yeah, amazing having you guys, man. So yeah, 16th is the day when I'll be like the laziest person ever. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed and learned something, just the basic stuff. And as usual, I don't know how to keep my videos short. Oh my god. But yes, I will see you in the next one. Peace out.